Hello, world of investors. Again, your host Al's here. This one is big, so we will get into explanations and details and setting this up quick. As always, please use those like or dislike options in the video. It's the easiest way to kind of show us as a team what is gaining traction, what's relevant in your world, and what you simply like or don't like. Next, if you think that we're adding value with how you interact with investments, so whether that be personally interacting with it, if you're on the institutional side, or if you work with retail clients, and please hit that subscribe button as well as hit that bell, and we're going to keep you up to date on any of these tutorials or anything to do with investments, right? The whole title of this channel is What If? So what is inside finance? And we do that because, again, there's so many pieces that are not necessarily transparent out in the market. We want to help people understand a little bit more because as you know better, you do better. So we'll get right into this one today. My mouse is kind of sitting next to this word here, hypothetical. So this is an area of Morningstar that is extremely powerful. I would say, like, going right to the bare bones of this is that you're only going to use this for clients that are able to follow that conversation about, illustrating past experiences and kind of what things what they're going to look like in the future, but different ways to kind of recreate the past or adjust things that they may have done or not done, and in a nice, simple way, illustrate that, right? So I've done quite a few different courses with Morningstar, and they've never gone into this kind of piece as deeply as I'm going to go right now. There's a lot of hypothetical illustrations where you can add a pre-authorized contribution or add an automatic withdrawal, and you kind of see or different deposits in different times or pulling out in the market and then re-entering. And so those are all very, very valuable. But I feel like those are super, super specific to existing clients in the sense of, kind of poking at areas that might not gain traction in actually closing a sale, right? Showing a client where they specifically made a transaction and it detrimentally resulted in where they are today is not always the easiest way to gain them as a client, right? So pointing fingers in people's faces is not always the easiest way to gain friends. And so this hypothetical illustration I'm going to show you today is going to use two proxies, and I'll tell you why compared to regular portfolios, why that's powerful, right? So most regular portfolios, depending on what managers you're working with, some of the track records just aren't that long. And some of the newer portfolios that are out there that are doing really well and doing some unique things just don't have the track records. And so it doesn't mean we're trying to blanket or discredit the current active management they're doing. We're just trying to kind of create some ideas. And so a lot of these portfolios have some kind of benchmark, which we're using Morningstar to tell us what those are. And from there, we create proxies. So again, these are some portfolios I've made in past videos. We're going to use these proxies because they have a longer timeline than the actual underlying funds. And I'm going to show you how to put those in hypothetical. So do that now. And actually, one quicker way to even do it is through client. So that's the one way, hypothetical. We can also click on and then say hypothetical. So from here, it's going to say, like, is this the one you want? And it's going to already pull in the investment side. It's going to go to the buys. It's going to check and see kind of what you grabbed. This is one of the most important parts of this hypothetical. Trailing 1 year will only illustrate through that hypothetical trailing 1 year. So you're going to want to do earliest common. Earliest available will be just what it sounds like. It'll pick each of those indexes and say what was the earliest available. And that does get confusing sometimes. So earliest common is going to be the most consistent numbers on that line graph. because as you can see here, the inception date is actually drastically different on all of them. So you're going to want to just pick, again, it'll be based on this one now across all. Advanced buy sells, we're going to leave things the way they are. We're not going to invest or withdraw or do withdrawal percentages. But in other videos, I'll show you how to do a registered retirement income fund and kind of show you how you could illustrate somebody doing a registered retirement income fund, and you can kind of pretend that they turned age 71, this year, and then going forward 20 years potentially with these proxies, what that whole experience may have looked like. And those are some of the most powerful hypotheticals that I've done in the past. But we'll leave it this way, just as side-by-sides. You can leave do the reinvest, yes. Leave the fees. We won't leave the fees alone because we want to add an advisor fee. So asset base, so we're going to do apply to all. We're just going to do 1%. And we're just going to do monthly is fine. We'll leave it as monthly. And taxes, we'll do as a non-reg. And report options now. So we're just going to save this now. So we have the right dollar value in here at $1 million, because you want to have it the same dollar value when you're doing two hypotheticals. We'll keep this one just the way it is. We are going to go back to auto benchmark asset allocation, but we're only going to include the benchmark in the comparison. We won't use it in this one. Mountain graph or like line graph, again, looks the easiest. Don't need a cover page. We're going to get rid of the X-ray and just do snapshot. Stock intersection, that's fine. We'll take it out for this hypothetical. That's not really what we're after. We'll leave the rest. So from here, generate report. Now this is going to be a simple hypothetical, just one example, but it's going to show us a much longer timeline than any of the other reports that we've used. So when we use X-ray or we use summary, it's not going to be as long. So that's the beauty of hypothetical. It's going to go all the way back to the longest holding, and it's going to compare them side by side. Now, I've already mentioned that this holding is a benchmark. So the benchmark and the portfolio are going to move pretty close. There's only one index that's slightly different. The Morningstar, the cash portion is Morningstar, and for this one, it's a 91-day Treasury bill. But again, you're going to see quite a few things on this hypothetical. Again, the idea for this is to do a longer term past history, so a longer timeline. I didn't do a rebalance. Currency's Canadian. Again, rebalance, nothing. Annual fee paid out of pocket. Income, capital gains, just some numbers that are on that tax tab. Right here, taxes. And net invested, 1.35 million. Oh, you know what? Because it went back to one of the longer holdings and then started it at 2000. Okay, so I can adjust that on the buy sell. So buy sell, start date, 1 million, earliest end date, earliest common. I wonder why. So that's if anybody wants to add into the comments, if you're aware why maybe the net invest. Oh, you know what that is? Sorry, this is the final outcome. Okay, so again, if anybody has other comments, please always put those in. But this what it means, net invested. So this is dividends reinvested over those 20 years, right? But again, it's just the original million plus another 350,000 in dividends over 20 years, right? But the final market value is 3.82, average annualized return 6.12, cumulative, again, nobody, like fall over here, you're not already sitting down, or if you're standing up, don't fall over. It's not 220, it's cumulative, right? So year by year by year by year by year, adding and subtracting those returns. You'll see exactly what that total was. And then you're going to see your let's see, it's actually not going to do, because dividends are show up there. There's no withdrawals, total investment 1 million, and then again, bad year to start. So ended the year in a negative position, very upset as a client. It took 2 whole years just to 2 whole years just to get back to where we were, and then from there, smooth sailing truly until 2008. Then we got crushed here. But again, there's not other examples of reports that can show you this kind of detail and showing you those market values each time. And then from here, again, now this I don't use this that often, but it is powerful depending on what kind of clients you're dealing with, or what kind of person you are, what kind of investor you are. You're actually going to see kind of how the different classes moved over those timelines, right? So you're going to see who kind of got hit the hardest. So again, the colors are slightly hard to tell because there's a couple, but of course the CIBC 91 day treasury, that is this very bottom one here. And then light blue is the Bank of America broad market, and so that's the bonds. And then Europe, Australia, Far East, Europe, Australia, Asia, sorry, Far East, and then S&P, so the Standard & Poor's 100, and Standard & Poor's Toronto Stock Exchange. So that's this one, again, pretty volatile, but still really great during certain times. And then S&P leading the way there. So you can see the annual market value, annual fees 1%, initial investment just all broken up. That was just those initial weightings. And then things you've seen before, right? So this is a snapshot, so I won't get into this. Portfolio is the ending view. Here's the breakdown. We've gone through this in other videos. So again, this portfolio is a benchmark. So the benchmark is the portfolio is the benchmark. You'll see that based on the top 5 holdings here. Because if I scroll to the bottom, I can get a benchmark by asset, auto benchmark asset allocation. And of course, it is the same thing outside of they trade off for some reason. Recently, they've switched to this as their cash position, which I use this one. So from here, I hope this part was helpful. I'm going to put 2 of these side by side in another video now. But what you'll do is you will save this, and you know what? We'll just go right for it. So we're 12 minutes into this one. If you want to stop watching, please get on with whatever it is you might be doing. But I'm going to keep going into this. So go back to the other tab we're working with. And we're just going to save this now. You know what, that was portfolio report builder. Going to save it here. So save. We're going to say and let's do this was Bank Series F proxy. So maybe 20. Perfect. And then I'm going to close this now, hide that, uncheck that, and I'm going to do non-bank, do hypothetical. And in another video, we compared these in the portfolio report builder. So I already know this one's going to do slightly better. We just need to make sure we select a couple things here. As I mentioned, earliest common, advanced buy sells, we're going to leave those. Again, as you see, it's giving you kind of details of each tab and where it could create value. Reinvest dividends, yes. We're going to just do a 1% advisor fee on top of the X Series IMF investment. Oh, so these are proxies, so there isn't actually an IMF in here. It's just 1%. So that's fine. They're all index funds, right? But it's just going to pull a little bit of fees out, and using 1% just makes it easy math for when you see what those fees are. Taxes, non-registered again. It's saying Alberta. Again, you can pick any province. And we're going to do portfolio. We're going to keep the benchmarks in. We're going to just change auto bench mass allocation, take our cover page out, take X-ray out, just use snapshot. Don't need stock intersection for this kind of report. We'll leave everything else, and we'll save it right away this time. 20 non-bank series F. And again, this one won't be drastically different than what I've already showed you with the last hypothetical. Again, the numbers just be a little bit different. And really not too much. So go down. Okay, so I won't go into detail on this one because it was pretty much the same, right? It was actually the underlying funds that did drastically different, not the proxies. So actually what I'll do to create a little bit more exciting side by side is we'll actually do this quick. I just did that one. You saw how quick that was. I will use the non-bank against the proxy. You know what? I won't, because it won't be a 20-year track record. So here's what I'm going to do. I want to create a little bit of difference here. So in case maybe you had a client who wasn't positioned properly, and you found out maybe they were 80-20 in their existing stuff, but you did the risk profile and you found out they were actually closer to aggressive, this will make this a little bit clearer. So we're going to change one of these proxies to 100%, or we'll do a 90, 90, 10. These are, again, common things that happen all the time. You run into a client, you do a proper risk assessment, and you find out they're actually not positioned currently with their existing advisor where they should be. And so I made one mistake and repeated that word there. So let's change this now. Morningstar always wants to repeat the name in the portfolio, so we'll do it like that. Save it out. It's the non-bank series proxy. We're just going to go to allocate. We're going to, for this example, we'll just keep this down to like 1%. To modify this down to, let's say, that's, it didn't let me here, 1%. We'll do this down to, say, 9%. And then weight the rest of the stuff equally. So I need to shave another 10. 29 to 7 1. We'll do it like that. So again, we're just as I had said, we're making this proxy slightly closer to the defined or the newly defined risk level or appropriate risk level of the client. We're saving this now. Close the screen out. And letting this repeat here. And now we have this 90-10. Now right click on that hypothetical. It's going to erase the last screen we had, which we don't need it. And we know what these all are. We've gone through these. We're just going to again adjust. Earliest common. Advance by cells. We're leaving those. Reinvest, yes. Fees, 1%. I'm going too fast. Go ahead, shoot a comment in there. Just tell me to slow down for next video. Again, I appreciate all that feedback always. Non-registered, we'll keep it Alberta because the last one is as well. Report options, portfolio, auto bench, no cover page, no X-ray, no stock intersection. We're going to save this. $90.10 bank F proxy. Okay. And generate just gonna be slightly different than that last one now. So we're gonna see again dividends pretty much the same, and we just made about 200,000 more over that timeline, slightly different percentage. But we're gonna see how that, where that changes over time. So we've already saved this, closing this out, and now have two. So I'm gonna go now. It's the easiest way. So do it this way. We're still in this hypothetical here. Go back to investments. We have 90 up. So we would just change one thing. You're just going to go here instead of portfolio report type. You're going to go portfolio comparison. And it's just going to tell you which one are we referencing here. So I'm just going to pick this. I'm just going to pick this here as the what if 80/20 non-bank proxy. And we're going to keep everything else the same. And I'm going to take our cover page out as we said. Distribution, that's fine. Don't need the x-ray. Keep the portfolio snapshot. I'll just see how that shows up. Common start date, earliest common. Again, very, very important. Display return rate on report. You can do anything you want. Something like we know this is 20 years, so keep it as annual. Otherwise, it'll just get confusing. You can include a benchmark. We're going to do both though. So we'll take it out first. And we're going to save this one as, we're going to call it 80/20. Cool. So leave that, generate report. Now we know we have that. And now we're going to see how you would do, two side by side. So we pulled the benchmark out because, as I had mentioned, these are the benchmark. So we're going to see over some of the years, the client was okay, and they were fine to be in the, let's say, inappropriate risk level. But then we're going to see over time how that little bit more of equity, just 10%, made a drastic difference, right? And so you would just ask clients, again, they're going to, of course, want to pick this, but then as we start to get into these different timelines, they're going to want to start to pick the other side of it. And even with lower lows, those little bit of higher highs, like 1.5 here, nothing here, almost 2, 1.5, just 0.7 there, 0.8 there. This one's almost 2. You're going to see the cumulative return adds up pretty quick, right? So only 0.5% more on average, but most clients are not going to want to leave $200,000 on the table, right? I'm clearly just averaging out that. It's off by 200,000 a little bit, so 197 there, 198. And then we can go year by year, right? So here's 90/20 versus 80/20. It'll start there, and then it goes back to the 80/20. I saved this one as the verse, but it is only just the one. But it's going to give you a nice summary that kind of triggers the page 2. So you can go right to page 2 and see what that final market value is, and then what that final market value is there. I don't want to give that up, right? I don't want to leave this. I don't want this for this. I'm not going to leave that 200,000 on the table there. So, sorry, I'm wrong on the math. It's 218,000, 217,000, not the other way. So, yeah, like that's a powerful illustration to a client, and I hope this was helpful. In another hypothetical, I'm going to put 2 side by side and do a riff withdraw as well, which that is a tedious one. I might pause that video after I enter in a couple just to fast track it, but I'll show you the kind of tips on it. If you have any other questions kind of specific to Morningstar, feel free to reach out, send me any comments here, as well as the Morningstar help is very helpful. So you can call them, reach out. But again, always appreciate everyone's time. Everyone's busy, and so anytime you spend watching these sometimes 25-minute videos, it does mean a lot to me. And so please share any feedback. I always want to be better. I always want to learn from kind of what's relevant out there. And I wish everyone good luck. Thank you. Bye.